Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Physical Literacy Show, powered by the FUMOZ App and presented by Revsportz Global. My name is Ashok Nambudiri, and we've got a very interesting panel here on the show today. Rajesh Menon, he took us through the FUMOZ App and the 5 principles of physical literacy on episode 1. Rajesh, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Also, we have Dr. Zakir Hussain, who's had a fascinating journey from an athlete to a practitioner. He took us through the journey in episode 1, and he actually talked about physical literacy being a fundamental right for children. Dr. Hussain, thank you and welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Boria, my friend, philosopher and guide, as well as a practitioner, an academic, and a person who knows everything to do with sport. Boria, welcome to the show. Quick thoughts on episode 1?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we set it up well because you see, this is ingrained in us that stuff like this will always get ignored. More fancy stuff will fly, and the very basic necessities in India will not happen. But now that FUMOZ has made it quantifiable and scientific, I think people will recognize the significance and importance of this entire endeavor. And in that sense, for Rajesh and Dr. Zakir and Dr. Hassan in the first show to come and do what they did, much like you and Gargi, I thought it was an important intervention. And that's what Revsportz is all about. It is not about sensationalist gossip peddling, but rather about trying to make a difference to the ecosystem.
Absolutely. And just to remind you, viewers, we talked about physical literacy. Padma Bhushan Pulela Gopichand actually talked about the fact that there is numerical literacy, there is alphabetical literacy, but when it comes to physical literacy in the country, there is a void, there is a gap, and that is exactly where the FUMOZ app comes in to kind of address that gap. We will talk about this and more on the show, but first, welcome Gargi. I didn't leave you out deliberately. I was just waiting to actually turn the tables and say that we will start with you this time around. Gargi, you've played cricket at the university level. You've now converted to a career in journalism, and you've seen sport up front and personal. Question to you is, at the school level, children don't drop out of sport. They usually drop out because of the lack of confidence. What's your take on that?
Funnily enough, in a summer camp, I was scouted like this for rifle shooting. I actually participated in rifle shooting for a couple of years when I was younger, and I did very well. I did not know the path to professional rifle shooting, but that's for another day. But what I'm trying to say is identifying athletic prowess at school level isn't about finding a polished product. Rather it is about recognizing potential. And some of the early signs are actually very subtle. You notice kids who pick up movements well, who pick up movements quickly, who adapt when you change the rules or put them in a new environment. That movement intelligence is a huge indicator. Then there's curiosity. Children who keep asking questions, who want to try again after getting it wrong, who hang back to practice a little more or, just put in extra effort. Those are usually the ones with the real potential. And of course, at the end, I want to say that resilience also matters a lot. How a child is responding to failure, tiredness, fatigue, not being the best straight away, having that patience to grind it out throughout the years in sport often tells you a lot about early dominance. So spotting talent is only half the job. Of course, we also need to funnel it properly. Schools need systems, and that's something that we lack quite a lot in India. We all know that, the physical education periods that we all used to have in our schools used to be taken up by the math or science teachers who would want to finish up their syllabus earlier or had some extra work. Whatever it was never taken seriously. That period was, always labeled as time pass. But that's where we need to change. And exposure to multiple sports is very, very crucial for children, especially early on. When they play different games, they develop what we call transferable skills without being boxed in too soon. And teachers and PE instructors at this point in Indian schools play a massive role here. And that is why they need to be properly trained. And having that set of trained eyes on the ground makes a huge difference, and especially for young girls, once again, who may not always push themselves forward or even get noticed in the same way that young boys do. Equally important are pathways in front of that. Once a child is identified, there needs to be a visible next step as well, whether that's a local club, an academy, program, whatever you want to call it. Talent often disappears because there's nowhere to go, because they don't know where the career is headed. And finally, access is also something that we don't have. Equipment, safe spaces, basic encouragement, these can be big difference, make a huge difference when a child is continuing in sport, and this decides whether or not they continue in sports or drop out. At the end of the day, schools, I think, should not function like elimination grounds, because that's what usually happens. They should act more like incubators, if that's the word that I want to use here. The aim is not to filter children out, but the aim should be to keep as many of them engaged in sport as possible. You want to keep them moving, and honestly, more than anything else, you want them to feel like they belong in sport for as long as possible, and that's what the job of schools is over here.
Interesting. Schools as incubators. Boria, Gargi spoke about boys and girls, and you've worked with professional athletes, you've worked with Paralympic athletes. So any story from your side which kind of resonates with this concept of the fact that children at school level drop out, not of sport, but drop out because of the lack of confidence?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you mentioned Paralympics. I'll tell you a Paralympic story. I mean, Devendra Jhajaria, India's greatest Paralympic athlete, had his hand accidentally amputated, because of an electric shock, or rather an electric issue. For 1 month, he went home and he was crying. He said, I can't go to school because people will look at me and say, Arey, tera to haath nahi hai, which is exactly what we do in India. We kind of rub it in. We don't have that sensitivity, or did not at that point. And Devendra's mother, of all people, said, you are much like the other kids. So what if you don't have one hand, you have the other? You want to play, go play. There was no culture of physical literacy in the structured manner that Revsportz or FUMOZ are doing. Had it been there, Devendra Jhajaria would not be lost. Thank God he wasn't. So what he would do, he would go to school and they would kick him out of teams. They would not let him play. They would like, tu padhne ke liye at least aa raha hai, thank your stars for that, tu bahar baith ja. So he would not even be included. So Devendra would run home the moment school would end, and he would go and tell his mother, look, I want to play javelin, I want to play this, I want to play that, but they don't let me play. So his mother said, theek hai, tu kisan ka beta hai, tu ghar mein bana ke khel. So he would make a javelin and then start throwing the javelin at home. Devendra Jhajaria is 1 in a million. He would do that, but 99.99, as Gargi said, would drop out, would just leave, would quit, because you cannot take stigma. Each one of us cannot take stigma. It is hard. At the end of it, on school sports day, Devendra Jhajaria came and once again said, I want to participate. And people said, Arey, what are you saying? Thank God you are at least in school. So he said, fair enough. After everybody finishes, mujhe ek bar fenkne dijiye. So what happened was, after everybody finished, this guy goes and throws the javelin. It's 10 meters more than the others, and he wins it. And they're like, what is going on here? There comes the genesis of an Olympic champion, a Paralympic champion. He goes on to win 2 Paralympic golds and one silver. But that is, the problem here is, and that's where I think Rajesh makes a revolutionary kind of impact, is in India, it is always jugaad. It is always without the structure, despite the system. One Abhinav Bindra, one Devendra Jhajaria, one Gargi Rao. But the fact of the matter is, we need a structure. There are 150 crore people, as Dr. Hassan said in the last episode. Out of the 150 crores, if we have a structure, even if 1 crore plays sport, active sport, proper sport, you mean to say we don't have the talent? That is where I think the FUMOZ app can be a revolutionary, impactful device for school children in India, and can transform the country for a better future and better sporting future.
So we've spoken about confidence, but hopping across to you, Rajesh, and Dr. Hussain, you can not just do with confidence, right? You need other aspects as well of physical literacy. There is the issue of balance, there is the issue of coordination, agility, and of course, backed up by confidence. How do you, think about the link between all these aspects, and how does the FUMOZ app actually facilitate this? Rajesh?
So I think to answer that question, a lot of emphasis is given on skills which actually teach them balance, coordination, agility. All of that is taught through a array of skills, which happens through a very progressive manner. So, for example, we have skills under locomotor skills. You teach them stability skills. You teach them manipulative skills. So, all of that is about agility, coordination, which improves not just their physical health or their skills when it comes to sporting skills. It also improves their overall cognitive thinking as well, ability to think on their feet, because that's something which is a skill that you need, whether you end up being a sports person or a professional as a chartered accountant or whatever. The ability to think on your feet is what fundamental movement skills allow you, because as you move, you're thinking. And what we have seen is, the more you move, the faster your thinking process also. The more you slouch, the slower it gets.
Yeah.
So yes, so ours is about giving them the competence and the confidence through a set of skills which they learn. And as Gargi said, here as well as in the previous show, you're not under no pressure for outcomes. That actually eases the whole learning process, because you are in the process of acquiring a skill. You're not in a competition here. There are no medals given because you actually dribble a basketball better than somebody else. There's no particular medal given at the end of the year. It's just that you acquire that skill because it helps you with your own competence and confidence.
Yeah, this is very interesting, Rajesh. I mean, what you're basically saying is that, so it's not just about the physical part of it, the locomotive or the manipulative skills. What you're really saying is that it helps develop cognitive thinking and thinking on your feet, which could help you in other professions if you were to choose outside of
Totally.
sports. Very, very interesting. So then, Dr. Zakir Hussain, a question to you. On the last episode, you talked about the funding for the research and, the research across multiple states that you have done. Was this borne out from the research, or what were the other findings? What's your take on this aspect?
Yeah, last episode I explained you. See, the confidence level should be increased by every children. So the components of physical fitness. He talk about the balance and other things. So components of physical fitness is the most important thing for an individual. So their speed, strength, endurance, agility, coordination. So as an athlete, I am confident when my coordination is perfect. If the coordination is better, you see the example while we are hopping or stepping. These are the exercises. So when you do the hopping and stepping, if it is correct, I am confident, because many athletes are not doing properly the hopping, stepping. It's very difficult exercise. So coordination is the most important thing. Then the strength or speed, whatever, that can be increased. But coordination is the most important thing. Here, that's why I prefer for the physical literacy program. I want to prove it. As a physical education director of a university, and as an athlete of this country, I want to prove it. This is the need. So that's why I gone through. Last 5 years I gone through this physical literacy program, and I want to prove it. Then there is no option. So what I done, I given a proposal to ICSR, because this is the authority. The government is the authority to do these things or prove these things. Suppose I am doing a research, my findings is this thing. Nobody will care. But this is a documental output. So next 4 years we are training the first standard students. This is starting first year. We will start with the first year student. Next year that promoted to second year, third year, fourth year. Within these 4 years, what are the changes happened? The character ways. So the discipline ways, the performance ways. So all the overall development of a student has to be increased. There is no doubt. Apart from the physical activity, their character, discipline, all other aspects also, they will increase. So we know sports is the most important part for, say, discipline, respect. We are giving respect to others. So that will come from the sports persons more than the natural people, I believe. So that's why I selected this topic and I submitted this. And see, definitely this will be a changing output. This will be a findings of our country. Tomorrow our country will adopt this physical literacy as the the best curriculum in the world, maybe.
Fantastic. I really hope that really comes through as a vision. Very, very, very inspiring, Dr. Hussain. All right, so let's go to why the early years matter. And here I'm going to call upon Rajesh and Boria to address this. Dr. Hussain talked about coordination being as important, perhaps more important than strength or speed. But the question is, at the early years, why do early years matter the most? And how does the focus on motor skills and brain development matter?
I mean, I go back to this example that Boria has cited this. You also brought it up, which the legend Gobichan narrated, of how your hands and muscles get stiffer and stiffer as you grow. So once you have, once you have learned something, undoing it becomes so difficult. Especially if you learned it the wrong way. So the best time in, like any other sport, or for that matter, we talked about numerical literacy, alphabetical literacy, even for physical literacy, the best age is seen to be age when it comes to your brain development, your neural plasticity is high, all of that, your motor skills, your movement patterns, your behavioral habits are easily learned during that young age, where your brain is far more, agile and able to actually pick it up faster. And this has been proven. I mean, I'm not a professional when it comes to that aspect, but enough studies are out there to prove that that's probably the age. And if you look at countries which have championed physical literacy, like Canada, like Australia, or for that matter, Shape America, which is another great curriculum that talks about physical literacy, it is targeted at students from the age 3 to 12 or 5 to 12 and doesn't go beyond it.
Excellent. Boria, you've taught and worked across multiple continents. Your take on this one, or any illustration of a story from any of the sporting disciplines about how the early years matter the most.
Yeah, and you don't always need to give examples of sport which are active physical sport in the conventional sense. I mean, take chess. If you think physical, by the way, for me, physical and mental literacy are combined. So it's holistic growth. Take a Vishwanathan Anand. What age did he start? 6. Anybody in India. And frankly, first fundamental, why I kind of jumped at the FUMOZ app? Because for me, it is never about elite high performance sport. I don't care how many medals India wins. Honestly, Dr. Sakir will be a celebrated athlete. Great. But Dr. Sakir is not India. India is the 99.99% who do not play elite high performance sport. That's India. The elite high performance athlete will somehow find facility. There will be a center here or there, a government here, there, a Sports Authority of India, top scheme, X scheme, Y scheme. They will get appropriated. Your daughter, my daughter, Gargi's daughter, Rajesh's son, that's the problem. Even us, we are the so-called elite. We have access, we speak English. What about the rural India, which is still largely the India? What about the child of 5, 6, 7, 8 there? For that matter, now in urban schools as well. Here, and by the way, you go to a lot of these schools in Odisha, and I did when I went to study and do a series of documentaries on the Olympic Value Education Program. We saw all schools with proper computer facilities and proper tech. Now, that's where an app like this becomes 100% relevant. Who are the people? Underprivileged kids coming from across into that school. And I think about 200,000 students are part of that program. The program is now being replicated in Assam under Himantada. It is being done in Odisha. It is being done in Madhya Pradesh. It is being done in some South Indian states. Now, the total number you're talking about is real volume, millions and millions. Do these people have proper access? Just to have a computer lab. What is the computer lab for? Are you going to teach them computers, and what impact will that have on them? If you are going to use this app, if you are using technology to harness it for these people, you are fundamentally transforming India. And that is the age group. Rajesh mentioned 3 to 12, 5 to 12. People of this age group, imagine this. An underprivileged child of a worker who doesn't earn more than 10,000, 15,000 rupees a month gets access to a government school where all of a sudden is exposed to this app in the computer lab or in gadgets there. His life is transformed. Her life is transformed. This is not about our lives where, okay, fine, we will have access. I think what these people are doing is they're institutionally, structurally trying to change India. It is no longer that one exception to the rule, but rather it's no longer that aberration. Rather, this will now become the norm. That's why I was attracted to this app. I was attracted to this program because I want my country change. I don't want one Dr. Sakir or one Gargi Raut or one Ashok Nambudri or one Pulela Gopichand. You have given the Gopi example. Why? Because you have that one example to go to. Why don't you give me 25 other such examples? Or I give you those. Because we don't have them. Until and unless there is a structure in this country, which is what they're trying to do, India will fall short. I think this is why it's revolutionary.
Perfect. On that, the million-dollar question, Rajesh, if you could walk us through the FUMOZ app. Now I'm very excited. I'm sure our viewers are going to be tuning in to figure out what this is all about. Especially if you could address this question about how does the FUMOZ app actually track the progression for a child?
So I'll just give a brief overview of what this product is. So our product comprises of a student app, which is literally like a textbook in his hand in an app format, in a digital format. So every grade has got units. Units have got lessons under that. At the end of every lesson, there is an assessment, which is where his performance is tracked, because there's a self-assessment as well as a teacher assessment, and it's all done online. Teachers get to see what the self-assessments are. Now, along with this, so that's the student app part of it. We also give what is a very important component, which is the teacher portal. So every school and every teacher, and before I come to teacher portal, a very important part of our curriculum is that we are not replacing any PE teachers anywhere. We actually train the physical education teachers at the beginning. When a school enrolls, we actually train the schools, the physical education teachers in the school, so that they can deliver the curriculum to the children. So we actually empower them with our curriculum so that they can go and do a great job. And I think a lot of the success, to be honest, I would say we have a great product, but I would say the success largely hinges on how the PE teachers embrace this concept. And I have to say that's a huge, huge thing where there is to be, because I have to say our system has made our PE teachers also lazy. Now, they have to actually step up, because there is a learning to be had, there is hard work to be done, because this is a curriculum which doesn't actually, it's not about throwing a ball and say, have a 15 minutes of, jolly good time. And, that doesn't work like this in this. It's about every skill needs to be harnessed. It needs to be practiced. It needs to be, they need to watch every student. They need to assess every student, because that is inclusivity. Because what happens is when a ball is thrown to the ground, only 5% of the kids who love football take it up. The 95%, as Gargi said, is into a chat room. But here you are actually forcing every child to actually demo a particular skill, where means he's actually starting to love it. So more he does, more he falls in love. So that's the teacher part of it. But to make the life easier for physical education teachers, we have a teacher portal. And teacher portal is rich in content. I would say the wealth of the FUMOZ would largely sit in the teacher portal, because the lesson plans actually allow the teachers, is going to equip the teachers with all the information and ammunition they need to deliver this program. So it's so detailed. The lesson plans and everything, whether it's the lesson plans, the rubrics, all of that is fairly detailed, I would say, for the teacher. Then you have the school portal. School portal allows the school to track how the physical education is being delivered in the school, how each student is faring, how the assessments are, and also how the physical education teachers are delivering. So the school management can actually track it, and the statistics that will come out of it and the data that will come out of it is also going to be seriously important to analyze as to how physical literacy is transforming the performance and agility, every single way. So I think that sums up FUMOZ. As I said, we are not a B2C sort of a business. Our business model is to work with states and schools directly. We are not, we don't have thousands of physical education teachers on our roles that we do B2C. We focus on directly working with schools and governments and states. So that's our focus. Very simple process. The school comes in, we onboard them, we give licenses to the students so that they can actually activate the app on their digital tool. The school only needs, as Boria said, in today's world, the least you expect is an interactive screen which will allow the PE teacher to show the skill, demo it, practice it, and then child has all the time. And there is also another concept of screen time. We don't need another app. But people have to understand it's an excuse for the sake of an excuse. This is not screen time. This is real time.
Yeah.
I have heard principals and teachers telling me, oh, not another app. But I tell them, if you have seen an app like this, then I'm willing to take it back. But tell me another app that is a substitute for this, or a textbook that can be a substitute. Because print is not a medium for this. Seeing is believing for kids at that age.
Great, Rajesh, that was pretty exhaustive. For people who are tuning into this show, Rajesh, there will be viewers who are principals of schools, teachers, physical education directors. How does it work for them in terms of the business model, Rajesh? If you could also spend a couple of minutes on that.
So all they need to do is schools, if they want to. I mean, our website is available. As part of the demo, I'm sure they will have access to all the key information. They just need to contact Revsportz, and FUMOZ app is meant for schools who embrace physical education as part of it, part of their curriculum, may take it very seriously, allocate 2 hours in a week. They can take the curriculum. We work with schools directly. So the licenses are given to the schools. We also are very keen and looking at the prospect of working with states, because we want, as Boria said, it's not just that 1%. Our 99.9% is sitting in our own government schools, which actually make up the bulk of our children. For them to access, the states have to embrace this.
Yeah.
And I think we are very keen to work with states. We are continuing to have dialogues with states to actually look at this curriculum in an economic model that works for everyone. Because what works in private schools, it doesn't work the same way in government schools. So we have 2 very different business models for government schools, which are state-run, and for private schools. Private schools can directly take this as part of the curriculum. What is reassuring is our curriculum meets and exceeds the requirements of NCERT, CBSE syllabus. It's very much in line with your NEP 2020. which is where physical education has been given a top seat at the table. So I think we tick all those boxes in that sense.
Perfect, perfect. So Rajesh, you talked about the economic model, and for viewers, we are going to put up the website for Next Sports here on this show. You can see it here on the screen. We're also putting in place an email ID for you to write in with your queries, which we can then address. Rajesh, you also spoke about NEP 2020 and the implications of that. I'm going to, come back to that perhaps in a subsequent show, because I think we need to talk about that aspect in terms of policy as well. But we are coming to the end of the show. Last few minutes, I'm going to come back to you, Gargi, with this question. You've heard Rajesh talk about the FUMOZ app and the demonstration that he just did. So, question is, as an athlete, if at the school level you had something like this, how do you think this would have helped to develop or identify athletic prowess in a child, and then help to funnel that talent? Your thoughts?
It's painfully accurate that children do drop out, and children rarely walk away from sport because they dislike movement. No child, as we all know, actually dislikes playing. They walk away because somewhere along the way they have been made to feel not good enough, they have been made to feel not welcome enough, and we all know confidence erodes long before interest does. So, at its core, we know physical literacy program gives children a safe entry point into movement, and that is one of the key things that a program like this will do. It teaches them how to run, how to jump, throw, catch, balance, fall, recover, and we know that these are foundational movements that will also help you throughout your life if you continue working out, if you continue your relationship with sport, especially in old age. And when children understand their body, confidence also follows naturally. I think that's also a part that is not talked about enough. It gives you immense confidence in real life as well. It reframes your measure of success. It reframes your measure of or rather it reframes how you look at yourself. Instead of programs like this, what they will do is, instead of rewarding only the best performers, it rewards value, it rewards effort and improvement and curiosity. And that shift is incredibly crucial, because children don't quit sport after one bad day. They quit after repeated moments of feeling inadequate or feeling exposed. Equally important is that it creates consistency, same language and same principles for children, encouragement to follow a child across classes and age groups. And this kind of stability will also help children feel seen and supported and not judged. And that is, I think, the most important part, that as a young child, if you can feel safe, if you can feel supported and not judged, especially in sport, then it's something that changes you for your entire life.
Excellent. Rajesh, to sum up and to wrap up the show, for a school that's taking up the FUMOZ app, what would the typical case study, if I could call it, look like? How, if you could just maybe very briefly take us through what's been your practical example in terms of a school adopting it, what would be the stages?
So the stage one is obviously expressing interest in adopting FUMOZ as a product. We work with them in onboarding the child. So so let's say they have 700 students, 500 students from KG1 to grade 7. It's about onboarding them onto the FUMOZ platform, wherein it automatically generates a license. It's a login which they can go and activate. Once they log in, they have access to what you call as access to that particular grade in which that student studies. So he or she can only view that particular grade, which means it's a complete curriculum for that grade is available on the student app. What we also have come across and what we have figured out, because it's a new curriculum, Ashok, we have had to do a bridge course, because a student who joins grade 3 for the first time and adopts this curriculum he has missed out from KG 1 to 3 because it's a very progressive curriculum. So we have designed a bridge course that actually brings him up to speed with what he has lost out during that period, because that's something we figured out, that since it's not like, you're joining another school and you pick up physics from where you left. No, because this is a unique curriculum, a lot of the students who have not done, we had to design a thorough bridge course. So let's say, so the student, the other thing which we have is the train the trainer. We actually make somebody their own trainer. So we bring the PE teachers, we train them. We also help them with the train the trainer program. We also give them a set of PE equipment which is required, because that's also supplied as part of this curriculum, because what is required to deliver this curriculum. And I think what we also give and what we have found is what the schools require, because it's a new curriculum and it's pretty demanding on the school for the first year, because shifting away from what they've not done, they require two kinds of support. One is the IT support, which we give 24/7, and also the PE support, because some of the concepts while delivering, obviously there's it's easier said than done. So the PE teachers also require consultation, which we provide with our experts. So that's the two kinds of support that we give schools. So it's not just about onboarding and leaving them with the devices. We continue to support them with tech as well as PE support.
Excellent. That was very illuminating. And we come to the end of this show. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in. I think, I really think that this subject is so fascinating. And this show is also equally fascinating. I'm sure I have not seen anything like this in terms of, the various aspects that we're going to talk about in terms of physical literacy, the scope that it has to really revolutionize the way a child embraces sports in the early years. Not just sports, but goes on, in whatever he or she wants to take up in life. These are going to be staying with the child forever. One thing is certain, though, the physical education period, as we used to know it in school, is never going to remain the same again. Thank you once again. Thanks to my panelists for joining in, and keep watching this space for the next episode of the Physical Literacy Show, powered by FUMOZ and presented by Revsportz Global. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ashok.